they didn't ending up paying me my commissions for the month of February. I decided that, hey, I'm not going to be working with these guys anymore. So I had a 15 euro per hour base, which came around to be like $1,200 per month in the base pay. My name is and I started in sales 2.5 years ago, and this story is about the second sales job that I got.
So, welcome back, guys, to another episode. Today, we're going to be speaking with a sales rep, a young sales rep, actually, who was a contractor and was not paid for nearly $4,500 in income earned in a given month for a specific company. Thank you so much for coming on, and if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Yep. So my name is and I started in sales 2.5 years ago, and this story is about the second sales job that I got from cold outreach. It was an amazing role. It was a European role, so I had a 15 euro per hour base, which came around to be like $1,200 per month in the base pay. And then I got 600 euro commission on a 3,000, 4,000 euro offer. Very good offer. It's the first offer that I ever was able to hit my first 8K month and then my first 10K month. And it changed everything for me in financially and in my mindset wise. But then that's kind of how I wore a crack the code when it comes to sales until the moment that they decided, you know what, hey, I decided that, hey, I'm not going to be working with these guys anymore because I wanted to start my own thing. I had a better offer that, wanted to hire me. And this offer over here, they didn't ending up paying me my commissions for the month of February. So literally a year ago, exactly a year ago, they didn't end up paying me that commission because when I said that I just want to quit, they just said, okay, remove me from Slack, remove me from everything, because they knew that maybe they didn't have a profitable month. I generated for them, I think they did 78,000 euro in deals that month. I'm just looking back in our email chain, and that was supposed to be that was also from recurrings on the back end and stuff overall, but in new revenue, 40 something thousand, they owed me 4,060 euro and 1,200 in actual base pay, but they only agreed paying me half of that because I didn't work full time is what they were saying, which wasn't true as well. And they pretty much removed from everything. And this sucked because this is right after I started to make good money. And what happens when you start to make good money? You spend good money. So right the month before, I hit my first, I think 10K a month, whatever. And I bought a new MacBook. I bought a new phone. I flew my family down to a trip. I basically blew my entire commission check, and I needed that money. And I was depending on that 4,600 and whatever euro. And they removed me from every line of communication I had access to them to. So I was just left there, hoping I'd get paid, going into the commission. Their commission software system was super weird. They would basically have this other random guy in the company that would have to verify my commissions and cross-reference it, which makes sense, obviously. And then we would go into the software called Lano, which was really messy, and we would have to manually submit it, and they would need to verify it, but they kind of removed me from that software, and that software was connected to my bank account, and they removed me from that completely. So I had no option. So I go and I send an email to every single. First, I tried to resolve it. Right, I tried to call the founder, but I couldn't because I didn't have the number of the founder. It was just one closer, right? So it was just one founder. So I had to go to LinkedIn. I had to go to Apollo.io. Any good outbound SDRs know what that is. I had to go to Apollo. I had to go to all these different scraping tools, look up his name. His name was, and there was a bunch of that name. There was a bunch of those names. So I had to scrape each one, call call all of them, go back to cold calling to just get my commission. And I was doing this for like maybe 8 numbers, and most of them were invalid. And I called them from my CRM that I had, that I made, not that company's CRM. And then I had to call them from WhatsApp, sending messages to them, trying to find their actual number, and I couldn't. I think I found his number, but again, like, he would ghost me. And here's the thing. The reason he doesn't want to pay my commission is obviously because they have bad financial tracking and management in their company. Because when you do 40K in new cash, and it's with a new funnel, you might not be profitable on ads. right? You might not be profitable on ads, and you have to pay this closer commission and a base pay. And we had a full team of like 11 people on the back end that were all at base pays as well. So obviously, I understand the founder, but if he wants to be a real company owner, he can't just not pay his team because he realizes that he can take home a lot for himself that month. That's just the cost of doing business. That's business, my friend. And if he doesn't accept that, then I don't think he should be a business owner. And that's the problem these days, is that because he probably realized that, hey, this month wasn't profitable because he just doesn't know how to run ads and he doesn't know how to structure his own business and structure his team and payroll. That doesn't mean that I need to not get paid, even though I generated all the cash for his company.
Yeah.
Without me, he wouldn't have made any money that month,
Yeah.
and then he doesn't want to pay me. It
It's
doesn't, and we didn't have a setter.
it's
It
it's
was just
based
me.
it's based so essentially what you're saying is that like when these companies potentially don't run their numbers well or don't have a good month in terms of cost and financials and stuff, the natural first fall guy is the person who's due commissions, right? Because they don't pay you that money probably upfront or weekly, and that's sort of like a certain amount that they can just, and then the first fall guy that they go to is not paying their team's commissions, which is almost, as you said, it doesn't really make sense, right? Technically, because the sales guys are the actual people who generated any of that revenue. So what actually ends up happening, it sounds like, is they use that revenue to pay themselves and all the people who are on bases, right? They
Yep,
use that money. That
exactly.
money was generated by the sales guy. So the sales guy forfeits getting paid for people who are on bases, even though your job is directly linked. The only person linked to direct revenue that month was you.
Exactly, exactly. And when people hire people on commission, they don't realize, hey, buddy, when I actually make you money, you actually have to pay me. It's not just a woo-woo percentage that comes out. You actually have to pay me a fat invoice because I'm going to generate you a lot of money. And our commission tracking was so bad that I'm looking in my email and I literally have a list of all the names of people that I closed and doing the calculations for them because we didn't really have a software to track any of that. Then basically, again, back to the scraping. I had to scrape all the emails of the founder, of the co-founder,
Mm.
of the main company email, of the guy who would usually I would talk to when it comes to paying out my commissions, put them all in an email thread, and then I see address not found because some of the emails weren't right because I was making up emails. I couldn't scrape their emails, so I was like founder at flashhub.com or testing all these different names, hoping it will land in their email. Um, and then just following up like a good old sales rep would do. Did you get this? Hey, any update on this? And then they finally, the co-founder gave me, and oh, and I had to scrape because he had two companies, so I had to scrape emails from his second company to put it in this thread so he would finally pay attention to it, and that worked. And he answered and he said, hey, we'll do that. I still had to follow up. And then he was basically making this argument how about my age he doesn't need to pay me and how it's legally illegal for him to pay me because I was a minor pretty much. But then if you actually he already paid me money. He paid me 4 or 5 times before this. And then if you actually look at the law, I'm an independent contractor, and even if I was 3 years old, he would still need to pay me. It doesn't matter, right? And then so he's just using the law against me.
So this business owner was didn't know their laws also. So he didn't know that like as a contractor, there's very different laws obviously to do with labor if you're underage, which is normal in our world to be honest, because at this time you get a lot of contractors who are under 18 doing different types of jobs in the design world, engineering world, and also in the sales world. And as some people will know is that like they are allowed to work, right? And they do have a right also to get paid, but he tried to use age as a reason for you not to actually get paid. He tried to use age as a reason for you not to get paid. By the way, it seems like you really, really needed this 4,500 or 4,000. The way you went about scraping it and getting it, like, what was going through your mind at the time when you didn't have it? What was the outcome that you were thinking was going to happen? Because you must, it seems you went through a lot of effort. You could have just said, ah, I'm never going to get it. Like, let's move on to the next thing. It seemed like you really needed to get this money, and almost like you almost thought something you weren't going to be able to survive without it. What was going through your mind and
Yeah.
life at that point? Why you needed to have that 4,000?
Yeah, again, so the month before I pretty much spent all my money and all my commission check because it was the first time I ever saw a lot of money in my account because I started, closing deals,
Yeah.
hit my first 8, 10K month. And then I pretty much spent a lot of money. I think, whatever, I had to maybe pay some taxes that month as well. I forgot what it was. And I didn't have a lot of money in my account and I fucking needed this money for my life, right? for food, for shelter, for all that stuff, for rent. Um, and it's annoying because if there's anyone in the company that should be paid first, it should be sales reps because we're on the front line. We're risking, we take on all the risk. We put in most of the effort. We are the bloodline to the business. We generate the cash for the company. So we should be the first to get paid no matter what. Fuck your ad spend, fuck your software developers, fuck your accountant. No, pay your sales reps first and pay them the right amount because without them, you don't have a business. Um, and yeah, man, it just, it was a while ago. It was like a year and a half ago. Um, I don't remember exactly how I was feeling, but I knew that I was frustrated. Whenever you're in a rut financially, you're fucking frustrated. Like,
Mm.
and the worst part is that I was in a rut financially because I didn't have that money, but I was supposed to. It's not like I'm in a rut and I got myself in that situation and it's like, oh shit. It's like, no, I'm not supposed to be in this rut because I'm supposed to have this money. It's my money.
Yeah, so it's a weird sort of, and I've experienced, and why I do this and I chat about these interviews is I know exactly where you're coming from. It's a weird imposter syndrome, right? Because it wasn't that you were in a rut because you didn't have money. Yes, you'd spent your money the month before, but you made sure that you closed enough deals this month to make sure that you got money coming back in again, so that you were still doing well. So it was for you, it was an educated decision because you believe you're good enough as a sales rep to be able to make enough money every single month that it could afford your lifestyle. So you were able to say I can spend that. So it was almost this imposter syndrome feeling where it's like, well, I've done everything that I actually deserve, but I shouldn't be in this rut, right? It's not that I wasn't good this month in my business. It wasn't that like I didn't make enough money, I didn't sell enough clients. I did everything I could have. You did everything in your power that month. And it was interesting what you said about sales reps should be paid first, right? Because I think as a sales rep, you're super correct. I think in the past, and still, sales reps used to be paid handsomely. They used to be the first taken care of. In companies that have sales reps on payroll, they're usually the most highest paid people in the company. 150K a year basis, 60K a year basis, really high bases. And now, obviously, that we're moving into this world of remote sales, contractor sales, freelance commission only sales, you still should be the top paid person because that's how it's always been. But now we're moving into a world where not only are you sometimes not being the top paid person, but you might not even be paid at all. And that's such a weird thing because if you look in a business, as I said, the only person that's actually directly responsible for revenue, right? You can question some positions in companies. Sometimes you can fire people, you can question their importance, but you can't question the person or the people who bring in 100% of your revenue every single month, right? It's incredible. Like that is the business. What is business? Business is nothing without money. Money is the blood. Like I always say that money is the lifeline of a business. It's the blood that flows through the body. So you are the blood in that body, and it's almost like then they just don't take that as seriously. And I think for you, the question I have, and I appreciate you for being so open and honest, is if you could go back in time a year ago, right, and look through that situation, or even look forward to the future in a year, what would you have hoped, or what do you think the situation needs to look like in terms of payroll and commissions? What would you have liked it to look like in terms of
Yeah.
how frequently you got paid, how you were
Hmm.
paid, and how you were guaranteed to get paid first? How would you have
Yep.
hoped that would have looked like if you could write a check in a book and just demand the world to be like that?
Yeah. I wish there was just a platform or software or third party that is in charge of brokering the transaction between an offer and a closer, and they are in charge of that money, and they hold that money and transfer it from the offer owner to the closer whenever a closer closes the deal. So I would just probably, if I was still a closer, I would just want to get paid every single time I close a deal because like I'm running my own business,
Mm,
right? I don't want to wait till the 30th. I don't want to wait, you know. Sometimes you have to wait till the 9th or the 11th of the month. It's like, brother, if I close a deal today, I want to get paid tomorrow. I want to
mm,
get that paid out tomorrow. I want to get that paid out today. And what that will allow offer owners to do, because now I run my own offer in a couple of teams, is that your reps will be more incentivized, okay, to actually close deals. Because if you say, hey, let's do 100K this week, let's do 200K cash collected this week, they know that that means okay, with that extra money, I could do whatever I want in the weekend. I could do whatever I want, and they're like, the book The Winner's Effect, right? If you once you win, once you close a deal, you're now on a high. You just close so many more deals. And sales reps know that and experiences that because they know that they add some like little $600, $500 to their commission tracking sheet. But how more powerful would that be if they actually just got that shit deposited into their bank account directly a day after they close the deal, okay, they're gonna they're much more likely to keep closing more deals because they just want that euphoria. They want that feeling again and again, and that feeling is amplified when they actually get paid. And also, it shouldn't be like, I feel like if it's paid out daily and it's guaranteed to paid out through some sort of software, the offer owner, they don't get stressed at the end of the month when they need to pay all these sales rep invoices. Because if you got a team of 20 reps, you're hit with a huge fat invoice, and you already spent all the money that they generated for you on ads, on payroll, on yourself, on your own education, on your lifestyle, and then you have to pay that, and you start questioning everything. So yeah, something like that would solve those problems definitely.
Interesting. So for you, the key point is that instant gratification, right? Which is as a sales rep, if you were able to get that $100 or that $500, and I have a sales team right now actually thinking about like when they hit that form, I would love for them to smell that money in their bank account the next day, because like the instant gratification they get from that, close a deal and go buy your girlfriend some flowers, right? Or go buy your mother something nice from those deals. You get that instant gratification from not just the deal, but the experience of spending that money, which makes you want it more versus having to live. Basically, what you're saying is that sometimes you have to wait even till the 9th, 10th of the next month. So you have to wait for that 40 days for that gratification. So you almost have to wait, you have to spread that feeling out for 40 days before you actually get to spend the fruits of your labor,
Yeah,
which is interesting. Cool. Well,
like imagine only getting paid, bro, 12 times a year. Like you should be
yeah,
getting paid more. Um, yeah, it just makes more sense.
cool. Well, listen, I really appreciate you for being open and honest. I know that story had a lot of emotions behind it, and I could sense the frustration and the things that you went through. So I think I really appreciate you for being open, telling the story, and I think this is important, and hopefully we can help, and hopefully the market can change in the future. For sales like yourself, you've done work for companies, the most important person in any organization can actually feel that, right? And you should be respected for that and treated that way. So thank you so much, and have a great year.
You too, brother. Appreciate it.